Section 7.3, simplifying radicals. How do you simplify radicals? Well, to begin with, what kind of radical is called a simplified radical? A radical is said to be in its simplified form if you follow these conditions. First condition, the index, the number inside the V shape is larger than the power of the radicand. So these guys should not be equal, and this number should not be greater than that number, correct? So this guy is in simplified form, that guy is in simplified form, but this guy is not, because the index matches the power of the what? Radicand. The index is larger than the power. Here, this guy is not simplified because index is smaller than the power of the radicand. Condition B, there is no common factor between the index and the power of the radicand. Notice 2 and 4, they have something in common. 5 and 20, they have something in common. 3 and 9, they got something in common, like 3. 4 and 16, they got something in common. So these guys are not simplified yet. There should be condition number 3. There should be no fraction under the radical sign. So you are not supposed to have a fraction under the radical sign. Why? Because these are not simplified. So we should simplify them. Next condition, there should be no radical in the denominator of any fraction. We should not have a radical in the denominator of any what? Fraction, like these guys. These are not simplified. So, having said that, let's see if we can simplify the following radicals. I don't know what square root of 600 is, but I do know 600 is the same as 6 times 100. So that would be the same as the square root of 100 times the square root of 6. Square root of 100 is 10. So the answer is what? 10 square root of 6. So this is how you simplify square root of 600. So the final answer is 10 square root of 6. I don't know what cube root of negative 54 is, but I do know this is the same as what? Negative 27 times 2. Is that right? So I can split this radical, write it as what? Cube root of negative 27 times cube root of 2. Remember, if there is a multiplication under the radical, you can split the radical. I know what cube root of negative 27 is negative 3, but then I don't know what cube root of 2 is. And no, we are not supposed to use scientific calculator because we are not supposed to come up with an approximation. We're supposed to come up with the exact answer. So please, no calculator. Yes, no calculators. Please keep that in mind. I don't know what fourth root of 48 is, but I do know I can write that as what? 16 times 3. But then I can split this as fourth root of 16 times fourth root of 3. Fourth root of 16 is like, give me a number. When you multiply it by itself 4 times, you get 16. I believe that magic number is 2, but this guy stays. So the answer is 2 times fourth root of 3. Do you see it? I don't know what square root of 16x to the 4y to the 10 is, but I do know what? Let's see now. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of x to the 4 is what? x squared, isn't it? And the square root of y to the 10 is y to the fifth. How do you figure these guys out so quickly? Remember from previous sections, I can rewrite these guys as what? Square root of 16, square root of x to the 4, and the square root of y to the 10, correct? But I know square root of 16 is 4, and I know I can change this to what? Exponent form by dividing 4 by index, and here divide the 10 by the index. So that's how I got 4 times x squared y to the fifth. So what you do is divide each of these powers by the index, which in this case is 2. You don't see it, and that's what pops out of the radical sign. How do you check this? To check this, what you do, you take this guy and multiply it by itself. One more time, you should get 16x to the 4, y to the 10. This is how you check your answer, correct? What about this guy? Cube root of 40, what? X cubed y to the 9. I can write 40 as 8 times 5, and then x to the third, y to the 9. I know cube root of 8 is what? 2. Is that right? I know cube root of 8 is 2. But cube root of x cubed, 3 divides into 3 once, so x to the first comes out of the radical sign. Cube root of y to the 9, 9 divides by 3, what, 3 times? So the answer is 2x. Where am I? Y cubed, don't forget, you still got this 5 guy trapped under the radical. So the final answer is 2x y cubed times cube root of 5. Do you see it? What about this guy? I don't know what the square root of 20 is, so this minus sign goes for the right. But I know 20 is 4 times 5. I'm going to hold on to x to the 6. But what do I do with y to the 7? 7 does not divide into 2. Why don't you split the 7 into 6 and 1? So that way 6 divides by the index, is divisible by 2. 12 is fine, so hold on to it. So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x to the 6 is x cubed. Y, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Square root of y to the 6 is y to the third. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And square root of z to the 12. 12 divides by 2. That would be z to the 6. Everything else, don't forget the minus, stays under the radicals, such as 5 and y. So this is the final answer, and there is a multiplication sign there, but you usually don't see it. So there is no need to show. I'm just showing you to make sure that you understand this whole expression gets to be multiplied by square root of 5y. Sometimes you have this kind of fraction, so the first thing to do is simplify this before we kind of simplify the radical. So 2 goes into what? 8 4 times. 2 goes into 50, what? 25 times. So now you can split this radical. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 25 is 5. So easy. Sometimes you have what? Radical over radical. So the first thing to do is what? Put both of these guys under the same radical. Just the way you could what? Split the radicals. You can also put it back together and put the whole thing under the same roof. Do you see it? Okay. Then simplify this. So what do you get? 6 goes into 48, 8 times. X to the 6 divided by x squared is x to the 4. y to the 9 divided by y to the 6 is y to the what? Third. Okay. But question is, that's not quite simplified yet. Let me show you why. So you can see why is that not simplified? Because I can write or rewrite 8 as what? 4 times 2. And I can rewrite x to the, I'm going to leave the x to the 4, but I can rewrite y to the third as y squared times y. So why did I split the 3 into 2 and 1? Because 3 is not divisible by 2. So I had to split it at 2 and 1 so I can take at least square root of part of this guy, if not the whole thing, just part of it. So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x to the 4 is x squared. Square root of y squared is y, but everything else like 2 and y stays under the radical. Now this is the final answer. So how do you read the final answer? 2x squared y times square root of 24 and 2y, excuse me, 2y. And that pretty much how you simplify radicals. Thank you.